Welcome in. It is day 188, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And you may notice that our set has taken a little bit of an advancement. We added in 2 new aisles here. We ordered these close to 7 months ago, so we finally got them in. We were able to expand it out, add in another 50 plus games over here. Plus, we got some new drawers, so we actually have the ability now to pull out drawers that have small games on them. We only have 2 of them, but it's a nice little upgrade to the studio and to my game collection storage area. I was really pumped for it. I was able to help center the table therefore, so you might notice it's going to be a little bit better for these shots. So hopefully everybody really likes the new look. And of course, we got an extra game up top as a result as well. So it's a nice look. Day 188 starting off strong. And on top of all of the amazingness of the set and the games, we also are reviewing today a game that is only being lent to me temporarily. It is a game not available currently. It's being sent out only to reviewers like myself. And it's not my style of game, but I was happy to check it out, try to get a playthrough, do some investigation on it, and see where this one landed. This game is called Stifling Dark. Now, this game takes on, when it comes to the basics of it, a resemblance to games like House on Haunted Hill and other games like that, where you're teaming up in groups trying to go in and basically investigate something. In this, there's a bunch of paranormal investigators. You need, usually, the expectation is it's a minimum 3 player. You have one person who's representing whatever it is that's going on inside of this house. And everybody else is teaming up and using their characters to investigate the house. And you're slowly making your way through, trying to find evidence, trying to evade being caught or killed by whatever it is that's in this house. It's definitely got, I think, some unique factors to it. For instance, instead of it simply being that you're moving in the house and it's moving in the house, you actually have a secondary board that's smaller that this is moving within, that player gets to move in, and nobody knows where you are, where he is. So she is moving around in the house and you don't know where they are. Meanwhile, they can see where you are. But on the other side of it, you've also added in this great aspect of a flashlight. And instead of it simply being like you're in a room and you turn a flashlight on, and if it's there, you see it, which I'm sure they've done that in games. I haven't seen that before. In this one, you actually pick the way you're going to look. So I would say this is kind of like, say, Mr. Jack, where in Mr. Jack, you are definitely getting some line of sight type setup, but they actually have these great widening shots of light that you put down, and you basically pick the direction they're going, and everything within the light is now visible. So you've got your visible locations, you get your dim locations, you have your pitch dark locations. So when you're trying to walk, if you're going through pitch darks, it's double the movement because you're moving slower. It's a really interesting setup. They really put together some thought on how to put together these, not only the concept of the house and the investigation, but the way that you and your characters can move and see and what you're doing. It's very different. Now, as you know, unlike most reviewers, I don't go into extreme detail. So I'm not looking to go and give you guys the entire game and every aspect of it. I'll show our shots from the photos. I'll try to get pictures of the board, both yours and the being that's in the house's board, shots of the pieces. But it's really mostly me giving a review of my 7 categories and seeing where I feel this game really lands for me. When it comes to that art, most of the time when you have a board and a game like this, the darker inside, and you have the reflective darker outside, it's hard for that to necessarily hit. The reason it's hard to hit is because the theme is fulfilled. So if you were to tell me, I've played the game, I love the game, wow, look at this, you love it. You're like, oh yeah, I can feel it in this board and in this box. But before you've played the game, you need to buy the game. And to do that, you need to be attracted to the game. That's either by walking in a store and seeing a box like this, or by going into a YouTube channel, seeing reviews, and seeing a board that grabs your attention on a photo. For me, I think that these both are beautifully put together. However, the question is, does it attract the eyes? I think the board does. The board is so unique looking. The closest I could think of was Nemesis to this board, but Nemesis, while it's extremely detailed and things are shifting around, doesn't have the breakdown by space the way this does, almost like a grid type setup. This one, I think the board is a huge, huge plus. The box doesn't really, you're not getting much from here. I can see the theme, but I don't see the grabbing of the eye. So I think in a game store, this one's going to be hard to grab you. But with that being said, if you're checking YouTube channels, if you're seeing pictures of games, I think that the inside will grab you. And I don't think the outside's ugly. It's just not, it's not grabbing your attention the way it should be. Overall, I think that averages out to me as a thumbs up. When it comes to those components, now, according to everything I read, because as you know, when you get a review of a game that comes in the mail, it's not out yet, you don't always have final components. But I read through this really detailed, and they said everything here really should be final components. And I found that these components were really, really good. The boards are obviously same par for me as the average board game board. It's really well put together. You know, you're when it comes to that extra player who's on the hidden board and they have this huge screen, it's a nice screen. I think they did a good job, not only with its visual and with its type, what they made it from, but its size. It's big. It really is hard to see behind it. You're going to have to make an effort. And when it comes to those pieces, you're dealing with plastics, with cardboards. They're really good. I went through all of them and I thought that they were just well put together. This is a game that's made to last. It's got to be a thumbs up. Your price. Now, I can't judge this for in stores. I don't know if this will ever get to the popularity of making it to stores. So we're before that point. So availability is also obviously unknown right now. So all we can go by is what we're prepping for, which is the Kickstarter launch. Now, based on the Kickstarter launch, I looked at what they had for your basic game, your deluxe game. You were in that $60, $70 range area. You know, maybe a little bit more than that when you add in the shipping. So maybe you're looking at 80. For me, would I pay this? No. But that's because I'm not into the co-op games, the all versus one games. I'm not usually a big fan of the investigating games. It's not my style. So that doesn't judge what I recommend. I've played enough of these that when I looked at this, I felt that this game has a lot going on in it, that it's definitely going to be worth the price just if you judge it on a one-time play. Now, I looked in and there's so many characters that being able to shift it up, play different every time, is definitely there. This has the ability that I think that the money would be worth an investment. The thing I would recommend would be not to invest individually. Make sure that you have a group that wants to play these style games and make sure only one of you is investing. Because if it were me and my group wanted to get it, and there's 5 of us in the group, would we split the cost? Unlikely. But what we usually do is we know who's backing what Kickstarter and we make sure, okay, you're getting this one, I'm not going to then. There might have been 2 or 3 of us who really liked the game, but only one of us backs the Kickstarter. And then once we've had a chance to play it and we see how much we like it and we make a determination if we would play this outside of the group, then the other people can make a decision if the game makes it to stores or has a secondary Kickstarter, if we want to invest and pick up another copy so other people have it. That's the way I'd approach this one. I think that it is fine for its price. I just would make sure your group's not over-investing and getting multiple copies. That being said, I'm going to give the price a thumbs up. Your difficulty. So this one strides that line. I definitely do not believe this is for kids. And I think that beginners, well, I don't think that they should say 100% they're out. I think this is a bit of an intense game, and it's a hard one to come into. I could definitely see somebody who says, hey, I want to play games, but I'm not really into the abstracts. I'm not into war games. I like a working together, solving a puzzle game. Great. This one would definitely fit that area. But for me, I would start with something smaller. I think this is a bit advanced, and I think that for a beginner, it might not be the right game to lead into. So that leaves you your experienced and your experts, and I think, again, for that level, yes, experienced and experts can enjoy this game, but do they like this style game? I think that you're going to get portions that do, portions that don't. I consider myself to be an expert, and it's just not my style game. But if you ask me to play a game like this, I think this would be a game I'd say, sure, I play this one. It's well built. I see the story. I see the theme. I'm in. So I'm going to give the difficulty with that a thumbs up. Replayability. I do see a group that likes this style game getting this game to their table once a month. That being said, most gamers and most of the people that follow my channel, you're not going to play this back to back ever. I don't care who you are, even if you're huge into these games. And I don't think most of my viewers are going to want to go play this game more than once or twice a year at max. I think that there's replayability for those of you who are into the co-op or all versus one haunted house type feel game. That being said, I think the 90+% of you aren't, so it's got to be a thumbs down on the replayability. Keys to victory. So it's all about what you're investigating. There's so many different piles of different cards you're drawing when it comes to your clues and where you can go in the house to activate the clues. Things that the ghost or the paranormal activity, whatever it is that solo player is placing out that you can activate and give them advantages because it's going to give you an advantage elsewhere. And the characters you have that give you different ways of moving throughout the house and how, hey, this person has the ability to move through a pitch black spot because instead of it taking 2 movement, they have the setup to move through a pitch black like a regular spot essentially 3 times in a turn. The way I interpret that is that they're braver, so after the 3rd spot is when they start to get a little bit nervous. But there are abilities built in that allow you to move through the house or communicate or exchange items faster. There are definite ways to have keys to victory based on the group you have and the way you use them, the items you found, the items that have been found by your opponent. I can see them out there. It's got to be a thumbs up. Finally, unique. Is this unique? I've said this before. There is a wide spectrum of what unique means. Do I feel this game stands alone and that if you get it, it's different than another game you would compare to it? Yes. I don't think that you could own Mansions of Madness or that you could go get the House on Haunting Hill or Betrayal of House on the Hill. I don't think you can get these kinds of games compared to this and feel like you're getting the same game. It's unique in that respect. So I'm definitely going to say they have a game that you can play no matter what you've played before and you'll be able to enjoy it. But the question really is, if somebody wants to get a style game, is this one that you could say, oh, buy it from this grouping, and if you only want one, you can get it as part of the grouping? Or does it stand alone from that grouping as a unique area? For me, I would still put this with Betrayal of the House. I would still put this with Mansions of Madness. It's even compared to Mr. Jack in the respect of moving around in a dark board, having the ability to light ways, multiple characters, multiple abilities, unknown who you're facing. I think that that's a much smaller version, but I can compare these games together as a category and say that it categorically is not unique. There are aspects of this game that are done really well. There is things from it, like putting out that light stream that you have, that is completely unique to me. But as a game, comparing it, I don't think it stands alone from the category. And if I want to play one of them, I can interchange this with it, just with its own versions, its own pieces in there. But not enough of it stands out. That light's a great idea, but because I've seen that before, a little differently the way that it was used, but I've seen it before in Mr. Jack, I don't feel that piece is unique enough to help catapult this game to a complete unique category. So for me, it's a thumbs down on the unique. Overall, what do I think? I think they did a really good job on the design here. Big props to these guys on, I believe they said it took 2.5 years to put this together. I can see the work. You can see the detail. You can tell that they really cared about what they were putting out for a product. And I think that if you were into those co-op or all versus one style games, I highly recommend. Somebody should go and invest from your group and get one of these to try it out. Because at the end of the day, if one of you owns Mansions of Madness, one of you guys owns the Betrayal of House on the Hill, and one of you owns Stifling Dark, I think that you'll be happy that you have the option between those to pick, and you'll be happy that you only own one of the 3. Again, there are other games that probably jump in this category. Those are the two I think of immediately, so that's what I compare this to the most. Whereas I could own this with Mr. Jack. It's just a piece of it that's the same, but those to me like really close-up games. So I think it's a high recommend to play, and it's a pretty good recommend for those style groups to have somebody go buy it. That being said, if this isn't your style game, I don't think it's so amazing that you have to go buy it, even though you're not normally into this category. It's not. It's not setting precedents. It's not the next big thing. I don't think this game is going to take off and be that game that everybody knows is a household name. But I do think within the gaming community, it could become one of those I've heard of that names. That's the level I see this at. And that's pretty impressive because not many games get to that point where if you go to a PAX East, you expect that 9 out of 10 people you talk to have probably heard of a game. This, I feel, could be that for the gaming community. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to determine it. Go check out the Kickstarter page, see what you think. I'll add a link down below so that once this thing's out, you can get to it. And when it does eventually come out, I'll try to get back to the page and update it. So if it is on Amazon, we can have a link there for you. Well, it has been day 188. We've been speaking about the game Stifling Dark. And you've been speaking to the Meeples champion. Like, share, subscribe, and again, check down below in the description in case I have any of the links for this game so that you can get to Kickstarters, Amazons, whatever it may be as time goes on. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.